Hey everyone, and welcome. This is PopXcast, where science fiction meets pop culture. We are a geek podcast for geek culture, so are you ready to get your geek on? Sit back, relax, put on that Ninja Turtle onesie, warm up those chimichangas. Ladies and gentlemen, this is PopXcast. You are listening to PopXcast, where science fiction meets pop culture.
Here we go!
PopXcast. I was born in it, molded by it. PopXcast. The strings on me. Autobots, transform.
Go here, Tyrell. More human than human is our motto.
Here's Johnny. Never had a pet pony.
Hasta la vista, baby. PopXcast.
Captain's log supplemental.
Negasonic Teenage. What the
I am the one who knocks.
Oh, dude, it is so good. Oh, man, it was Stan Lee, and I can't believe that I was able to find that clip of him doing the Excelsior. That was one of the last times he actually did it at a con, Austin, but that was at the Salt Lake City Comic-Con. Austin Burke?
I was going to say, we've had a lot of reflection this past week with Chadwick, and we'll talk about that. But that picture that you sent me the other day, Joe, with Stan and Chadwick, just like all the feels, man.
Dude.
All the feels.
I'm telling you, it was... shoot, man, I don't even want. Let's catch up before we dive down that rabbit hole. I want to say a huge shout out to Alex Lopez hanging out with us over in the YouTube live chat room, and we also have Darth Baca hanging out with us. That's a name that we haven't seen since episode 75, returning back here on the YouTube live stream. It's good to be back on YouTube. We're just trying some things new, and we're just trying to improve our overall quality and aesthetic here at PopXcast. And dude, it's been like 3 months since we did. It was May the 31st was our last show.
Jeez, that long. Well, it feels like an eternity. Like there are movies that came out in March. I'm like, oh, that came out last year, right? Just because this has been the longest 3 to 4 months I've ever had. How about you, Joe? Like it's
been very long. It's been very trying. Yes, at Darth Baca, we guys are coming back officially to YouTube. This is going to be our home, and we're going to settle in here for the next foreseeable future. Just asking, and we have Alex Lopez here, Wakanda Forever Believers, more like fitting title at this time. Yeah, it's very true Believers. Yes. But for me, man, it's just been really crazy. It's been, I got to say, for a lot of people, the pandemic and everything has kind of been a bad thing for a lot of people with unemployment and just the craziness that's going on. My wife got furloughed for several weeks at her surgery center, had some scares, some moments that came in. It was kind of questionable, so the whole staff had to be 14-day quarantine and all that crazy crap. But in the middle of all that, though, I've been extremely productive as a creative. And so I've been able to do a lot of cool things, design a lot of really neat logos for some local businesses here in Central Florida. So I'm pretty thankful. I mean, I want to say it's kind of been one of the busiest seasons I've had in a long time.
Well, it's kind of crazy, man, because it's, for what we do kind of with our, I want to say abnormal, but extremely interesting jobs, our careers. Like it's forced us to do things that we've never had to do before. Like for me, like without movies, what's a movie critic going to do, right? So
without movies.
It's hard, man. So I've shifted my focus to other things and kind of expanded on what I do with my channel. But I've actually had I was just going to say I've had a lot of strangely good things happen to me over the course of a horrible time in our lives.
That's one of the bullet points for tonight, so don't spoil it. You know which one I'm talking about, the big one that you've been working for a long time.
Yes.
But yeah, it's been a really interesting time. But I think as a creative, it's been one of the most exploratory times.
Yes.
Because we've had to do some things that we normally wouldn't do in our careers as live streamers and social media personalities and et cetera, et cetera. I consider you even more a greater personality than myself. I mean, you've taken the seeds that I've sown, and you've grown a freaking forest over it. No, I'm just saying though, you've done an exceptional job over on your FlickFan Nation channel that you run, and it's just freaking awesome what you guys are doing. So, but I think honestly though, it's really good to be able to be back here now that we have entertainment coming back into the industry. We have films now that are making their way back into cinema, and that was kind of one of the big things that I was bouncing around when the pandemic hit. The theaters closed up. PopX didn't really have a lot to talk about because everything that we do as a podcast is driven by Comic-Cons and conventions, E3, we got all the communication conventions that are done out there. We got a lot of things that we do that we kind of feed off of. And now, just since July, we're starting to get that momentum back. And so when that momentum comes back, PopXcast comes back. So here we are.
Yeah, and it feels good, man. It feels really good to be back after a prolonged absence. Like you said, movies are back. I think PopX is back. And I do want to go ahead and introduce the show, though, so we can get into the news. So
Please do,
welcome,
man.
Everyone. If this is your first time to PopX, this is where science fiction meets pop culture. I am Austin Burke, the Appalachian geek at heart. We'd like to welcome everyone joining us live in the PopX.live chat room. Come hang out with us and join the conversation at PopXcast.com. If this is your first time tuning into PopX, the first 20 minutes or so, we run down the headlines since our last show, and then we dive into the show topic at the halfway point. Feels good to be back. Feels good to say that, Joe. Oh, dude. My goodness.
I know, man. I know. Sometimes we say it so much on PopX, we forget it. And it's good to see it like, we don't forget some things around here.
Yes.
But I'm your host, Joseph Burke, Central Florida seasoned comic book nerd and retro enthusiast. Now, we're a part of an amazing network of creative collectives from a vast expanse known only as the Creative Multiverse. You might see the logo right over here. Now, the Creative Multiverse is a network of creatives that is sprinkled with a lot of talent, and it just kind of basically anything that you can dream or imagine, you can bring and share with us in the Creative Multiverse over on our Facebook group. So make sure you visit us on Facebook and just search for the Creative Multiverse. And we have a couple of really cool things coming up in October. If you don't know, Inktober is in October, and that is a really cool chance for you when the Creative Multiverse really starts going. Is during those kinds of type challenges where you can see everybody's artwork. You get one word a day, and you got to figure out what it is you're going to draw for that one word a day. So that we'll be sharing that starting October 1st. So get ready for that. You'll be seeing that on the Creative Multiverse. Now, if you missed episode 109, Crisis on Infinite Continents, where we were talking with Retro Blasting and Michael French from Retro Blasting, you can check that out over on our official website at PopXcast.com for this and other great past shows in our amazing archive of goodness that we have here. Now, be sure to head over to Google Play, iTunes after the show and click on that subscribe button. And on Spotify as well. We forget to say Spotify. Not enough on this show. We need to start hitting that pretty hard. But catch up on some amazing shows from PopX Archive. And while you're there, leave us a really great rating if you can. And it just helps us and our ratings climb up the ladder a little bit. It's nothing with us. We just want to be your source for geeky goodness because we just chill out. We're relaxed. We hang. You know how we are. All that said, we're going to kick it off with the news this week. Don't go nowhere. We will be right back.
Extra, read all about it. This is PopX News, coming to you live right here on PopXcast.com.
And before we get kicked off here, I want to say a huge shout out to John Poffenbarger, I believe his name is. Welcome to the show. It's good. He said he's a first-time listener here.
Yes, it's he's I have him on Patreon. It's nice to have you, John. I appreciate you, man.
Oh, that is so cool, dude. He's following. Well, I'm a Burke too. I'm the oldest and good looking. No, I'm just
You
messing
got
with
two Burks now,
two
man.
Burks,
You got two Burks.
Two
You're
Burks
in for it.
one room. Oh,
My God, in a world. No, I'm sorry, John.
anyway, backing it up here. But yeah, this is what you get, John. Welcome. I hope you like it.
Right here, dude. That's all you're gonna get.
That's all you get. There you get. All right, so now we got to come a little serious here for a second. Literally Thursday night, we got some news that literally rocked the entertainment industry, and I want to have Mike from Atlanta, Georgia, come up and join us here as well. So I'm in Orlando, Austin's in Kentucky, and Mike's in Atlanta, Georgia. And so we are going to talk a little bit about the passing of Chadwick Bozeman. And just an amazing actor. I mean, Jackie Robinson, was it Jackie Robinson he portrayed? Yeah, and it was just so many 21 Bridges. It was another Russo brothers amazing film. And then, of course, he breathed life into a character that is legendary status. T'Challa himself, the King of Wakanda, Black Panther. We're talking about Mr. Chadwick Boseman. And, man, I got to be honest with you, Austin, when I heard the news, I was sitting at home, and I was watching a movie with Alex. We were watching The Goonies, as a matter of fact. And I remember clicking pause button and just kind of looking down and just reflecting for a moment, like, what? And it was just, my eyes were, I was having an allergic reaction in my eyes, and it was just, it was very intense. It was one of those things that you didn't see coming, because he's so young. He's 43. Austin, what are your thoughts, man?
Well, it's one of those stories I just didn't believe when I heard it. I got a Twitter notification from one of the sites that I follow for news. I see that, and I'm like, am I being trolled right now? And it's different when maybe an actor or actress is older, or they've had an underlying health condition that we knew about, right? But with Chadwick, everything seemed good on the outside, right? Until you kind of start reflecting and you see the weight loss over the last year or so, and you watch his Instagram video, which I watched. I honestly thought it was for a role. I didn't know it was actually a health condition, because that's what you think. Like Christian Bale losing hundreds of pounds, like 100 and something pounds for a role. That's just the first thing that comes to mind. But now that you go back and you see it, I can see that. But the best part about it is the fact that his family knew, he was able to go. I mean, I've read stories of him talking to kids with cancer. I've read stories of him just giving all that he could give before he went. And sure, he's a great actor, and I'm sure we'll reflect on that. But I think he's an even better person, and that's what I've really been able to soak in over the last few days. Yeah,
and you know, one of the things too. I mean, we're not a podcast that you know, or is on any side of the fence on what your belief system is. That's not what we are. We're talking about nerdy goodness, but my goodness, this man's face was so strong. Yeah. Holy cow. I mean, did you see that one clip of him giving that speech at the graduation ceremony?
Graduation, yes.
Oh my gosh. Goosebumps. So, Mike, what's up, man? How has this affected you? I mean, just processing this all.
You know, it's kind of like similar to you. I just had gotten wrapped up watching the Bill and Ted trilogy, and I was, you know, I got through that and I was enjoying them. I was getting ready to wrap up for the night. I was, you know, I was in a happy place because the movies were great. Yeah. You know, and then I just happened to glance down at my phone and saw that, and it was just like, it was like all the blood just drained out of my head, like I was going to pass out.
Wow.
No, I'm saying to myself, this can't be right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this has got to be a mistake, you know, and all the, you know, they said he had it for over 4 years. So he was, you know, doing Black Panther. And I mean, just filming an action movie, I mean, you know, not from experience, I know, but just from hearing, you know, a lot of the action movies take a lot out of you. And for him to have the strength to do that through all this, and, you know, nobody knew. I mean, in the case of Stan Lee, yeah, that was a tragedy, but we kind of saw it was coming because of the age.
Right.
But for you know, to have this, you know, for 4 years like this, it was, and not the public knew anything about it. I'm sure privately everybody within the family knew, but to just happen like that's what makes it worse. And it's one of those things that it's just hard to process. At such a young age. I mean, he was younger than I am. I think I'm pretty much the oldest one here. And just to see that, how it can happen to anybody. It was just a shock to see that. And
A really cool commentary, Mike, over here in the chat room. This is from Alex Lopez. Chadwick Bozeman will always be Black Panther, and he never had a misstep as an actor.
Yeah.
Never had a misstep as an actor.
I agree. Yeah.
Phenomenal. I can imagine, having this illness and finding the mental strength to channel Black Panther when they were filming Infinity War Saga 1 and 2.
Yeah.
I can't fathom that. I mean, he's going through treatment. He's sick as a dog, but yet he's getting in this suit and he's, I don't know. I don't know where that strength comes from. Well, I do know where that strength comes from, but I think it's just really cool that what a legacy he's left behind. Yeah. And he didn't let a lot of people know about it because he wanted his light to shine in another way. He wanted to be remembered as that, not this.
Yeah.
And I think that's exceptional. That's just character. That is character right there.
Well, if you look
integrity.
At all of, I've not seen, and granted, someone passes away, you're not going to see anyone other than trolls online, and I've seen a couple of those. But in terms of the people he impacted within the industry, right? Obviously, fans are going to, pour our hearts out to him. But every actor, director, producer that he worked with talked about him like he was one of the greatest actors they've ever worked with. Because I think he was a very reserved person. I think now we know why he was so reserved.
Yep.
Over the last 4, and everybody's always commented on that. I think we know why.
Yep.
But in terms of who he has done business with, not one remotely negative. I mean, everyone was just like, this is one of the best. How could we lose someone that is this good of a human being? And then that's what it feels like. It's like, yeah, not only is he crushing every genre, every role, from a legendary baseball player to Jackie Brown to Black Panther. I mean, everything he crushed. Yeah. But he's over there crushing being a good person. And that's the thing, man. I think that is his legacy. Like, just one of the greatest, most inspiring men to ever live. And now knowing that he was carrying this all along, man, we look at him now in even higher regard.
Yeah.
It's incredible, man. He was such a good dude.
I think I want to go back and watch number 42, Jackie Robinson, all over again. That was a 2013 film, and I watched it in passing, but I never gave much mind to it. And I need to go back and just look at and get myself in his mindset where he's at there in that moment. But
his work, man.
But our hats go off and prayers and thoughts to the family, the Bozeman family. And I do want to say this before we move on. This is a very strange factoid that I did find out about Chadwick Bozeman. He is from Alex's hometown of Anderson, South Carolina.
Wow.
And every flag was at half-staff today in Anderson, South Carolina, where he's from.
Wow.
So, amazing.
Wow.
Amazing.
My goodness.
All right,
well,
Austin, kick us off here on a more of a loving note.
How do you recover from that? Okay, well, let's try, because we've got some cool things to talk about here. I think this is going to take up a big chunk. So, last Saturday, DC had their first online virtual convention, DC Fandom, which was jam-packed with announcements for every fan of the expansive comic universe. Cheetah revealed in Wonder Woman 1984 trailer, Suicide Squad full cast reveal, Static Shock movie and Milestone Comics revival, the Snyder Cut teaser trailer and miniseries, Black Adam story details and teaser trailers, the Batman first trailer, and then you have the DC games. You have 2 new titles announced. You have Batman Gotham Knights, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. The virtual convention drew approximately 22 million viewers. Joe, were you one of those viewers?
You bet I was one of those viewers. Come on, man. What are you talking about? When they dropped the trailer for the Batman, I think I had to change my underwear at least 3 times. I was like, oh my God, I gotta back up. There's no way. That can't be that's the Penguin. That's Catwoman. What? Dude, my brain was overload. It was
So
beautiful.
You feeling good about that Robert Pattinson casting right now? You feeling pretty good?
I told you from the get-go, I'm all on board with it. I mean,
Me and you were like in sync.
I saw it. And that one scene when he's got the cowl off and he's looking up and his eyes are black and he kind of looked like the Winter Soldier a little bit. I'm like, oh, dude, the darkness, the eeriness, so good.
It's so good, man.
It's so good, man.
Yeah.
So I think they definitely have a home run. I hope that the Pattinson contract will stay intact and they will keep him on board for a while. Another big heavy hitter, I guess, was the Zack Snyder Justice League cut, the Zack Snyder cut of that. I'm really excited to see that. I'm excited to see how they've done Steppenwolf, and now they are actually going to have Darkseid as the main villain of the film, the way it was intended. And from what I've seen already, man, dude, they must have shot like 6 hours of footage, because there is so much footage I'm seeing in this trailer that it's not even in the Justice League original platform. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Well, I didn't believe it at first when they said there was, but apparently they only used about 20% of what Snyder was going to put in his. That's crazy. That's a whole different movie.
Dude, it's an entire movie.
Yeah.
2 movies. They could have done what Avengers with it on that one. What the heck are you talking about? Make a part 1 and part 2. Mike, what was your favorite parts of the DC fandom?
I love just about all of it. I mean, it was just to see the extended trailers, the Zack Snyder stuff. I'm kind of looking forward to that. I just got so once they finally announced it, and now it's kind of coming to life and it's reality. I just got so tired of hearing about it. It was there, it wasn't there. They all kinds of. It just got so tiring over the years hearing about it. So now that the reality of it is, that they have it, and I think they said it was supposed to be 4 1-hour episodes, and then they're going to release it all complete in a complete 4 hours. So, that'll be, worth seeing. I'm curious to see, what it originally was supposed to look like, and, the additional characters and stuff like that. And the Batman trailer, I've kind of gotten on board with, because like the clips and stuff that I've seen before of it, I wasn't feeling it. I just saying, okay, yeah, that's good. And then once I finally seen the actual trailer to it, it's all coming together, and I'm kind of looking forward to that. And so it was enjoyable to see. And Suicide Squad, I'm kind of excited for that. I'm a big Peter Capaldi fan from Doctor Who, so to see him play the Thinker, that was impressed. Seeing that. And the one thing I was curious about that when I saw that, it was more behind the scenes, but to see the original actors such as Margot Robbie come back, to see how she performs under a different director, the same role, I'm intrigued to see how that's going to play out.
Yes. Good thought. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of meat there. From what I'm hearing, we all 3 took away something a little bit different. Like we all 3 had our couple things that we really are excited for.
Joe.
Yeah.
I've not talked to you about Michael Keaton returning. How
no,
you feeling,
we have
man?
not discussed this, have we?
How you feeling, man? How you feeling?
That he's making Flash's suit? I'm Batman.
You're the first person I thought of when that happened.
Dude, I'm
It's just
telling
this
you,
show.
this is the greatest time in the world to be alive, because my childhood is coming back in full circle 30 years later, and everything that I saw in the theaters is coming back again. I'm like, you're the Vulture and the what? But I guess the big rumor is in the Flash movie that's coming out. This version in this multiverse, in this verse of Batman, the Tim Burton verse, that Batman is going to create Flash's suit. From what I heard, am I right on that, Austin?
You're right.
Okay.
Yep. That concept art of those 2 together with Michael Keaton behind him in fighting pose. Mike, did you like this?
Well,
news?
sweet Jesus in the morning, I just feel it.
Yeah, that was the one thing I realized after you were reading that I left out about the Flash, and I think Michael Keaton and Ben Affleck are both coming back, because it's the Flashpoint storyline they're going to be using. So I'm intrigued to see. And except for the Flash, I think all this stuff is coming out next year, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, 2021.
We should be living at the movie theaters next year.
Well, I've been saving up a lot of money here during COVID, so I think we can do it. Yes. Thank you. But I'm really excited to see everything come to fruition, how these stories are going to be intertwined. And another cool thing you were talking about Ben Affleck, Mike. Ben Affleck has actually broken one of the records for the lead actors of Batman. Do you know what that is? He is the first. When he comes back for this new role in the multiverse, Flash in the multiverse, he's going to be the actor that's reprised the role of Batman the most.
Wow. That is crazy.
Think about that.
Doesn't even feel like it.
It is true though, and cinematically.
Yeah.
Because Michael Keaton only did 2. Christian Bale did 3. This will be his 4th.
Yeah.
Technically.
That's crazy.
That's crazy stuff right there.
Just one thing I forgot to add onto this on the downside of DC. I think the DC Universe service is dying a slow death.
Really?
It's gone.
Yeah, I think it's just about done because everything that's been on the DC Universe is moving over to HBO Max or CW.
I was getting ready to say I have HBO Max, and I saw that there is a DC section now on HBO Max.
So there's more stuff coming. I think Titans is going to be the next one. They're not sure where it's going to, but it's pretty much on its way out. And I know Harley Quinn is moving over to HBO Max.
Yep.
Swamp Thing.
Birds of Prey's already there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I know Stargirl is moving over to primarily CW. I know it was on. You were able to watch it on DC Universe like on Monday.
Yeah.
And it would premiere on DC on CW on Tuesdays. So that's not really much of a big advantage.
We want to hear what you're excited for. If you guys saw DC's Fandom, we're going to move on because we still have an entire show to talk about New Mutants. But if you went to Fandom and you participated, leave in the comments, what was your favorite thing? What do you want to see? What are you excited most to see? Because we want to hear, and we may share that thought here on the show live in real time. But moving on here, I want to give a couple of quick things here. I'll take the next 2. Altered Carbon was canceled on Netflix. Now, I don't know if you ever have seen Altered Carbon, but I am seriously in love with the show. Not as big as fan of Season 2 as I was of Season 1. For me, Poe, the guy who plays Poe, is just fantastic in the entire series. And I just hate to see that we're not going to be able to see the finality of the story and how it's going to fold out. Kind of left you on a cliffhanger there at the end, so I'm really excited to see where. I was excited to see where Season 3 would have been, but now we're not going to get that opportunity. Austin, quickly, what are your thoughts on Altered Carbon?
Yeah, I mean, I assumed viewership would warrant another season. I mean, my reviews did well, and it was talked about a lot on Twitter. But sometimes you spend too much money on visual effects, and you make something so grand scale, it's hard. So yeah, I'm bummed out because I enjoyed Season 1 as well, and I like Season 2 just not as much. But man, that was rough news.
It was rough news. So if you're a fan of Altered Carbon and you're sad, we're right there with you. Moving on here, I want to say that with the new Dune from director Denis Villeneuve, help me out here, Austin.
Dude, listen to this. It's Denis Villeneuve, and it took me 2 years to figure that out.
Are you serious?
It took me 2 years to figure that out. Yep, I've heard him mispronounce it 20 times.
What he
differently.
said. What he said. Denis Villeneuve.
Yeah.
Okay. Landing in theaters this December. That's right. Dune is coming, ladies and gentlemen, and if I'm not mistaken, the trailer is coming next week. Isn't that right? All right. We'll be landing online on September the 9th. The first trailer hits on September the 9th. Mark your calendars. Set your thing on your Alexa or on Siri. Can't say her name here. She'll go off. But I'm pretty excited to see our first glimpse of what this is going to be. Now, before the trailer officially lands online, audiences who will get to see Tenet in theaters will also get to see it on the big screen first, which means on Thursday night when I go see Tenet, I get to see this one. So, Austin, these are 2 movies that you were chomping at the bit. Tell me about it.
Yeah. My number 1 and 2 most anticipated of the year. Dune number 1, Tenet number 2. I get to see a Dune trailer with Tenet. Oh, it's going to be great, man! And this is one I'm actually reading the book Dune right now. I'm halfway through. It is drastically confusing, and I do not like the original movie. So my hopes should not be this high. But Denis Villeneuve, man, Blade Runner, Arrival, Sicario. I mean, just one after another. Prisoners. He's going to crush this. And I think it was Brolin came out and said, this may be the greatest movie I've ever been a part of. And he's Thanos. So
what?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's insanely cool. Well, I'm excited. You know, I mean, Tenet. I mean, you've been talking about that. We're both Christopher Nolan fans, so I'm excited to see that. And do you get a screener for that ahead of time of me, don't you?
Well, I'm watching it tomorrow night, so
Okay.
we'll see how I feel.
Okay.
I'm nervous, but I'm excited, man.
All right. Well, all right. Pick it up on the news here, my friend. Let's continue on with the conversation.
All right, man. I like talking to Kevin Smith, so he shared on social media that he had seen some of the animation from the first 8 episodes of Masters of the Universe Revelation, which will be a reboot sequel for the He-Man series as a Netflix original series. Smith said in his post, "My guess, earliest we see a trailer is 6 to 9 months, not 69 months, 6 to 9 months. I don't doubt this at all because I just think the pandemic has gotten in the way. This was originally slated when it was announced to come out later this year. Not going to happen, but I'm still excited for it, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, come on. I mean, who's not looking for a resurgence of Masters of the Universe and the action figures and going to Walmart and seeing Skeletor on the pegs again? Come on. I mean, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but well, you may not know this. In prequel to this, before this comes out, Hasbro has signed a deal to re-release all the original sculpts with modern articulation. So these are in the likeness of the original Masters of the Universe action figures that we as a kid, 1983, present and counting, would go up to our KB Toys store and pick Man-at-Arms off the shelf. We get to actually do that again, but with modern day articulation. So each action figure, I think, is supposed to have up to 22 joints of articulation, which means you can pose them in any different way you want to. They're starting with 5, if I'm not mistaken: He-Man, Skeletor, Teela, Man-at-Arms, and Evil Lyn. I think are the ones that they're starting with. So I'm really excited. You should be able to go to your Walmart in October or Target and pick them up right off the pegs. So that's a kind of a nice little bonus right before we get to see this drop. So that's pretty cool. All right, continuing on here with the news, we've got 3 more stories, and then we get to talk New Mutants. We all know that Stranger Things isn't going to last forever. Now, as a popular show has been over the past few years, its creators are aware that all good things eventually must come to an end. But at least for now, we have confirmation that it won't be concluding with Season 4, as we anticipated. Now, the Duffer Brothers recently spoke out about the upcoming 4th season of the series. Folks have been wondering when the show could end. Will it end this year? But in case that's not the case, Season 4 won't be the end, said Ross Duffer. Now, we know what the end is, and we know when it is. This pandemic has given us a little bit of time to look ahead and figure out what is the best route for the show. Ooh, now, the 4th season of Stranger Things was in production in Georgia earlier this year when the pandemic caused things to basically shut down. Now, there has been no official word on the reports of suggesting that things could gear back up, but they are looking promising for September. So, there we go. I don't think we're going to get a Stranger Things Season 4 this year. Probably going to be probably July next year, I think, is probably a good, yeah.
I agree with you. The problem with them ending it early is you just want more Stranger Things, right? We want as much as we can get.
Yeah.
But I also really like the idea that they're not going to prolong this. Like, we're not going to do 9 seasons just to have 9 seasons. They're saying we're going to figure out the story, and when it's done, we're done. And I like that mentality, man. I wish Star Wars would have figured that out beforehand. But I like the route Stranger Things is on, man. So we'll just we'll have to see how it goes.
Well, I think you're right on the head there, Austin, because I don't think that you were talking about 9 seasons as kind of a little pudge to Robert Kirkman and Walking Dead. I kind of felt, but how many times do you need to see zombies? I mean, seriously, it's just really.
I like you caught on that. I like that.
Dude, come on, dude. We're flesh and blood. That's kind of sounded weird.
With my blood.
No. But I'm just thinking, I love that there with any story, there has to be a good beginning and a good end. And I just kind of feel that's where Walking Dead is kind of like mucked it up. There's just so much crap in the middle. It just don't need all that. So I'm excited for Stranger Things Season 4, and I hope that they do get to be on back production in September.
Well, we have some Todd McFarlane talk next. So his Kickstarter for the new remastered action figure of his fan favorite character Spawn has been so wildly successful that it's had a number of new components added on for backers and no extra charge. One of the extras that fans would be getting with the figure is another remaster, an update of the comic book that came with the original figure in 1995. That's the year I was born. The whole issue won't be redone, but it will include a brand new cover which McFarlane has revealed. The color version and the black and white version will be available for fans who picked up the Spawn figure 3-pack. McFarlane's campaign managed to conjure 23,761 back orders or backers with over 3.4 million in pledges. Now that is a very popular man with a lot of fans, Joe.
Oh man, I you know what? I'm a huge Todd McFarlane fan. Anybody that knows me knows that that I've followed his work, his craft, his art style for years.
Yeah, man.
I just love what he does. He pushes boundaries. He was the first artist at Marvel and DC to actually do expenditures outside the frames of a comic book. And so, like, if you were thinking about Spider-Man, doing his web shooters, his fingers would actually go off the square plane.
So he was the first one to do that?
First one to do that. And Marvel at the time said, no, absolutely not. We don't like that. You need to stay within the box. And he's like, no, I want to add dimension. And he began to do that. And actually, one of my favorite guys, the Incredible Hulk, he began doing that in Incredible Hulk 334.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But on the idea of Todd McFarlane, you guys, you need to go check your DVRs or find it's on YouTube, I do believe. It was on Sci-Fi Channel about, I want to say 3 or 4 weeks ago, Todd McFarlane, To Hell I Won't. Yes. And is a great documentary, 1-hour documentary into the heart and mind of Todd McFarlane. Why he did what he did. He talks about Rob Liefeld, Jim Lee, Eric Larson, all the artists at Marvel, the heavy hitters at Marvel at the time, leaving Marvel on a one-day notice to start Image Comics. It's amazing. You got to watch it. So check that out.
That's awesome.
All right, we got 2 more things, and then we're going to go into the New Mutants. So thank you guys so much for your patience. We had a lot of news, a lot of cool things to cover, a lot of sad things to talk about. But this past week marked, for the first time in game history, a franchise, Call of Duty, did something that they have never done before. This was amazing. Players who were playing the video game on August the 26th that were logged into Warzone, which is the free multi-world campaign that you can drop into. 150 people drop into it at one time, and only one can survive.
So fun.
So it's a real-world type situation, and only one can be king of the hill. Well, you were playing the game, and then all of a sudden, your game went into a different playlist, and you had no option to go into Battle Royale. You had to click on Know Your History. When you click on Know Your History, you were thrust into Warzone in Verdansk, and you were playing as your soldier. But then the trailers and everything, you were playing the unveil as it was happening in real time in Warzone.
Wow.
For the first time, Call of Duty and Infinity War unveiled Black Ops, Cold War in the game, and players lost their minds. Dr. Disrespect said this was one of the most hyped events he's ever seen in his life. He was just amazed at how they did it. They didn't do it with a trailer or a countdown or an event. They did it in the game. And players got to play it in real time. It was amazing. I have footage on my YouTube channel, not PopXcast, but on Joseph Burke Arts, of me playing this very scenario, and I streamed it live because it was just amazing. Nuclear warheads and sirens were going off, and things were flickering. It was insane, dude. My heart was racing, and it was really cool. So Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War releases on November the 13th, and it's pretty awesome to be able to play that and be a part of that. So if you're a Call of Duty fan, I'll see you later tonight. All right.
Yeah, leave it to Call of Duty to do something crazy like that, man, because they have really just turned it around over the last couple of years. They are rocking it right now.
Yes, they are. Yeah, and I'm heavily addicted to it. I'll be the first to tell you. All right, last but not least, Austin Burke, you have some amazing news. We were talking about it and hinting at it at the top of the hour, but you have acquired a pretty cool status since our last episode. Do you mind enlightening us on what that is?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, that's it's one thing we've talked about a lot on this show. And having the long break that we had, I had a chance to do some things and try to get some things situated. And I thought, that would be the end of it. But then I get an email telling me that what I applied for 8 months ago was finally it went through. I did officially get on Rotten Tomatoes as a Rotten Tomatoes critic, man. And, I didn't want to be the guy to get on there and post and all that stuff. But Madison told me, she's like, you've got to tell everybody. So I was like, all right, fine. Just because, it's literally, and I've told you this, conversations we've had when I came and visit you and whatnot. This is kind of what you work for in it being a movie critic. So I've made it. I'm there. I'm getting some sweet opportunities because of it in terms of screeners and whatnot. But man, it's helped big time with the career, with the YouTube channel, and just opening up some doors that I hope stay open for a while.
That's so freaking awesome, bro. I'm so proud of you and so happy, just to see your journey, where you started and where you are today. And one of the things I love about you, man, is like when you see a goal, you don't stop. You continue on and you pursue it until you get it. And we and you were sitting in my living room literally 2 years ago when you flew in by yourself down here, and we were just like, it's like, man, where do you want this to go? He's like, I want to be I want to be an official critic. I want to be able to get the screeners and do all the fun stuff. And I'm like, well, dang, here you are, 2020, you're doing just that. So, dude, congratulations. That's just awesome. All right. What do you have? I mean, so check him out too on YouTube. It's youtube.com/theburkinator. And Flick Fan Nation, you definitely want to be a part of that group. And you even have a Discord channel now too. So you're just rocking and rolling, dude.
Thank you, man.
Fantastic job. All right, well, let's talk a little bit about the New Mutants. I'm going to go ahead and roll that spoiler alert sound. Now, if you have not seen the New Mutants, I just want to let you know, beyond this point, you have been warned. We are going to be talking heavily on spoilers, and there's some things in here that you might not want to hear if you've not seen the movie. So with all that said and done, we'll be right back.
Danger. You are about to enter a PopX spoiler alert. Beyond this point, there is no return. You have been warned.
All right, you have been warned beyond this point. So, New Mutants. So, 17 years in the making.
What a way to start. You're right, though. You're right. That's the sad thing.
We actually had a bet going on. Would it drop on Disney Plus, or would it ever see the light of a theater?
I can't believe
I don't know, man. I think we both lost that bet.
I swear to you, Joe, I thought for sure I was going to walk in that theater, sit down, and it just say, this movie has been delayed on the screen. I thought for sure.
Sorry, folks.
Yes.
We're now showing
See you on
you
Disney Plus
Scooby-Doo
next
Part
week.
2. Some kind of movie that nobody wants to watch. Oh, geez. But it was actually, all things, it was really nice sitting in a theater for the first time in like 5 months and seeing a film. I mean, regardless of how good the film was or was not, it was just good to be back in a theater supporting my hometown theater.
Yes.
And so that was pretty awesome. But overall, I felt that the Mutants was a very interesting beast in the world of a Marvel-branded film.
Yeah.
I felt that it was a character study more than it was a superhero film.
I agree.
I felt that it was more about, all right, let's see what we can do if we throw 5 random teenagers from 5 different parts of the world into a house that they can't escape, and let's just see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much it. And it was some of the people in my crew that was with me that night. They was like, man, this is one of the worst Marvel films I've ever seen.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And a couple of them was like, man, I don't know. I'm just glad. I guess it's just the fact I'm with you is a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Me being more of a film critic and appreciative of anything that we get with the Marvel brand logo on it, I dive down it a little bit more and I look at the overall aesthetic of the film. Was it a great film? Probably not. Was it enjoyable? Yeah. I was entertained by it. Was it a movie that I would definitely rewatch value? Probably not. I know I'm sounding really harsh and really negative, but I think the dialogue for me, what was the blonde girl that had the Russian accent that would do the metal arm?
Yes,
with the dragon?
that was
remember.
Anya Taylor-Joy's character, the
Yeah.
Magic.
Magic, yeah.
M-A-G-I-K, yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, she was really, her bantering, her dialogue that was given to her, I don't think was very enjoyable.
No.
At all.
No. She's a good actress, but I didn't like her dialogue.
Right. And so it was just like, by the time we were 30 minutes into the film, her attitude and bantering, I was like, all right, either she needs to die in the next 5 minutes or something really dramatic needs to happen because I can't handle much more of this blonde chick.
And the puppet.
Yeah.
I didn't like the puppet.
Yeah, the puppet was weird. Yeah, it's just, hello. Hello, I'm Darcy Lynn.
Yeah, that's weird, man. So weird.
Hey, all folks, Kermit the Frog here. It was really weird. But overall, I did have my, all right, so that was my big picture. Before we break it down, I want to hear what your big picture was. What did you think?
Well, yeah. So I'll say this. It's better than I expected.
Yeah.
It's better than I expected. And funny enough, the grade that I gave it, and I won't say what that is yet because we'll do it at the end,
right.
Actually warrants a fresh score on Rotten Tomatoes. So of the 31% that's fresh, I am one of those fresh critics on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm one of the, I think like 20-something people that's given it a fresh compared to the drastically larger number for Rotten.
Interesting. Okay.
So it's okay, right? So it's not what I think we all wanted, which was a big showcase of their powers. And that is what we got at the end in the third act. But funny enough, I found the third act to be the worst part of the movie because it was so jumbled.
It was very jumbled.
Yes, it was so jumbled and messy. And their powers were cool, but it just kept coming back to, oh my God, please wake up. Oh my God, please wake up.
Please wake up. Oh my God, seriously.
And I'm just like, I like the horror. And the horror aspect, this haunted house where the kids are stuck inside, that's what I really like.
Yeah.
The movie's just so messy, it never really got that proper balance. So again, there's entertainment to be had. I wouldn't call it the worst Marvel movie. I've seen a lot worse than New Mutants, but I actually liked it more than Dark Phoenix, funny enough. But I still just, I'm never going to watch it again. It's a one-time watch for me.
Agreed. You know the one scene in the trailer where the faces are coming out of the wall? The wall looks like latex. Where was that
where
scene?
Was that? Yes, I agree.
I was like waiting for it. I'm like, all right, is at one point, I know it's coming. Wait, where's it at?
Yeah.
And it was just like, never happened. I'm like,
well, and that's what I needed more of is that right there, Joe, the horror. Because I really dug the horror. The creepy face-looking dude chasing our kids down through the hallways, man, that had me on the edge of my seat.
Yeah.
And then we get back to the teen angst and throwing the party when the doctor is sedated. And I'm just like, and again, how are the force fields still up if she's knocked out? I
was
know
wondering
how
the
her
same
powers
thing.
work.
If she is unconscious, how is she mentally holding up the force field that's around the mansion? Because, all right, spoiler alert, the doctor, oh, trust me, she's a doctor. Right. Anyway, she is the one containing these mutants. Yeah. She has the ability to create force fields, and nobody can leave or enter, essentially, unless. And so, I didn't really get that. If they sedated her, like they said they did.
Yes.
Okay.
Still up.
Can't you just walk out the front door and then bye? Yep. Bye, SX Corporation. Bye, Mr. Sinister.
Yeah, seriously.
No, none of that. It was really weird. It was really strange. All right, so the build up to the end.
Yes.
All right, so when you're watching the opening, and it's her father and her, I can't remember the name. It was the Native American character.
Yes.
When you're watching and you hear the thuds in the woods,
Yes.
I'm like, oh my God, it's a sentinel. They're going to be fighting a sentinel.
Nice. Okay.
I mean, you think about that, right? You see the beams and the things being thrown and the trees crunching. What would be hunting a mutant in that era other than a sentinel, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and so fast forward to the ending. It's a giant bull-headed dog with a black cloud.
Yep. And funny thing is, I actually knew that going in, so that didn't shock me.
Why was it a giant bulldog?
So it was actually...
Oh, it was the necklace thing. Okay.
It was classified as a bear. They called it a bear.
A bear. That's right.
Yeah, like it has a name. There's a name to it.
It was their demon bear.
Yeah, demon bear. That's what it was.
Yeah.
So, I knew that was coming, so it didn't catch me off guard. So I was kind of waiting to see how it would play in. And again, that fight, I mean, Anya Taylor-Joy's character fighting the bear was actually pretty cool, but it felt like they kept cutting away from it to focus on the people hiding. And I'm like, go back to the sword versus the demon bear. Yeah. That's what I want to see. Yeah. And they just kept cutting away. So I'm like, even when you're giving me these good moments, we didn't get to see him. And I think that comes down to the filmmaking with Josh Boone. He had the horror vibe going, but he didn't really do very well with the action.
Yeah, I don't know if yeah, I agree with you. I mean, the ending just kind of was very lackluster for me. Yeah. I mean, I would have much rather have watched X-Men Origins where Deadpool has his face sewn up than seeing this. It was pretty bad. The overall idea of having these teenagers locked inside of a house and they don't really know why they're there, that they're being trained for something better, I kind of dig that. I love that. I can get along with that. And the horror vibe I feel that there's a lot more footage that was filmed, but I feel once Fox handed it off to Disney downplayed a lot of the footage because they don't want it to be too dark. Yeah. We want to have a fun, friendly family teenager X-Men movie, so let's just take out all those really scary parts and let's put in all these really happy cry baby parts.
Yeah,
does that seem more plausible?
I think that's absolutely it. And there are, I mean, you can also think of it in this way, Joe. It's almost like a Breakfast Club, except they can't leave. Like Breakfast Club, they technically can leave. But that's kind of my mentality when we're in that.
And Bender turns into a bear.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, man. It's like this
breaking balls here, bub.
Was this whole
Sorry.
Was so no, dude. That's the thing is I love a movie like Breakfast Club, and I love the teen aspect of it. I really wasn't loving at first, and then I start seeing the relationships develop. I'm like, okay, cool. And there's actually a romance in there, Macy Williams' character, and then the girl that played Danielle. That was actually believable for me. I'm like, oh, this is actually is solid chemistry.
Yeah.
But I go back to what I mentioned earlier, and it's like, oh, she's asleep, let's party, and oh, let's cause trouble, and ooh, I'm the mean chick, ooh, I'm the guy with all the money, and they just fall into these tropes and these cliches, and I'm like, you guys are falling into the trap that takes down all these Netflix movies.
Can you would you say that it's a lot predictable?
Yes,
I would too. Yes. I would say
character-wise, absolutely.
There's a lot of lines, a lot of scenarios that you feel you already, before it even starts, you already know how it's going to end.
Well, did you know, Joe? At the beginning of the movie, did you know she was the one creating the all of the images in people's heads?
Not in the opening act with her father, but probably within the first 5 minutes, I figured it out.
Same.
I looked over to my friend who was sitting beside me, and I'm like, she's the one causing all this because she's the denominator that's causing the. I figured it out immediately.
Yes.
It took me less than 5 minutes.
It's too predictable for me.
Very
that aspect,
predictable.
which is the underlying theme of the entire movie. That's the whole reason they're in this situation. And how do you feel about them making her the villain? Because technically, she's the villain.
It was an odd call. Yeah. Is she an anti-hero?
I mean, she can't control it, but
she can't control it.
These were bad. I mean, these people almost got killed because of her. You know what I mean? So that's a little bit of an identity. Like, do we trust her? Do we not? I mean,
there's some duality there, and I don't think I don't know if there's enough finality to the situation other than walking down a dusty path at the end of it. That's like, oh, that's the end.
Setting up for a sequel.
Yeah,
that's what they did. Seriously,
20 years in the making. Wait and watch.
Well, Joe, there was originally supposed to be a Mr. Sinister cameo. I believe they had, who did they have cast? It was a big star as Mr. Sinister. I heard Keanu at one point, but I think that was just a rumor. But they had someone cast as Sinister to make a cameo.
I think I remember that.
Somewhat.
It was a big name actor. I could probably honestly, we can probably go back to one of our when we did X-Men Apocalypse and we were talking about that. We probably dropped the name.
Yeah.
But I do recall that. You know, the Essex Corporation was also mentioned in the X-Men Apocalypse as well at the end of it. And I don't think that, was it Bryan Singer? I don't think he ever got a chance to set that up.
No. And I'll tell you this, though. One thing I wasn't expecting going into the movie, and I actually made a separate video on this, was the connection to Logan with the footage of the kids, obviously where X-23 spawned from. This was actually, so we were wondering throughout the whole movie, what is step 2, right? New Mutants is step 1, what is step 2? Well, it turns out Logan, those kids, that's step 2. So that was the tie-in to Logan, and that kind of answers our question, well, where does this take place in the timeline?
Before Logan, right? But my big question to you, Joe, is what do you think here? So in the movie, they mentioned Professor X is, the X-Men are still, as far as they know, I mean, they've been, locked away for a while. So as far as they know, the X-Men are still alive and well. Well, in Logan, we hear that Professor X killed all of the X-Men. So New Mutants must take place, I'd say, a year and a half before Logan happens, because I think that year prior is when Xavier wipes out the X-Men. So this had to be about a year and a half before. I mean, that makes sense to me, unless they just didn't know he killed the X-Men. And if that's the case, it could be right before Logan. And it could depend on how long they've been in there prior.
Exactly.
Because we're following the story of the young girl, who has these psychotic abilities, or psychosis abilities, whatever, to be able to, manifest your greatest fears. We're following her story. We don't know about the other 4.
Yes.
And so we don't know how long they've been in there. Have they been in there since they was a child?
Ooh, it could be during, or oh my gosh, it could even be after Logan. Because
So
we don't see the world outside. We don't see the apocalyptic
we never
world
see
outside.
it. Never goes beyond the
Wow,
cathedral and the grounds.
Interesting.
Really interesting when you think about it. And if
like
Essex Corporation's in it, there's probably some crazy security protocols and things like that. They're probably off the grid, totally off the grid.
I guarantee it.
But, that was a really cool tie-in, though, seeing that footage, that tied in with Logan of the kids being dragged down the hallway and their mutants and stuff like that, which kind of solidifies Logan as one of my favorite X-Men movies of all time.
Oh
my gosh. I saw it recently again. I went back and watched it again in 4K, and this is such a masterful piece of work. But
we were talking cinematography in a superhero movie during my live stream today, and the first thing I thought of was Logan, man. Those shots, gorgeous. What a beautiful movie to look at. And
the color tones.
Yes.
Oh, the orange. You just said it. Yeah, the color tone. Sepia, light sepia. It's just amazing. Beautiful color palette on that one. So the New Mutants overall, I mean, it is a really interesting character study. There's a lot of missing parts, of the missing elements. It is predictable. The ending is a little bit lackluster. Is it worth seeing one time? Absolutely. I do believe you need to see it. If you're a fan of any Marvel movie, you probably will want to see this. And but I think that's pretty much where it needs to end there. I don't think it's a film that has a lot of repeat value, rewatchability. But that's my 2 cents. Austin, is there any closing comments before we give our scores?
Yeah, it wasn't worth the 2.5-year wait. I'll say that much. But I don't think anyone expected it to be. And that's honestly why we had to wait 2.5 years, because of the delays, because of the fact that they didn't know what the movie could have been. And I see potential in that movie. I do. I think there's a lot of potential there. But again, the universe is done. So we're never going to see that sequel that they set up at the end.
No. Now, the Fox X-Men franchise, as we know it, is gone. Finito.
Rough.
All right, so when I was walking out of the theater, I'll give my first score. I don't have the fancy graphics like you do. I don't have those. But I was thinking in the back of my head, 5.6.
Yeah.
I'm giving it a 5 out of 5 because there is some entertainment value there. There is some stuff there that is kind of cool to watch and kind of creepy to watch at some points. But beyond that, the ending just really, the Act 3 was flopped for me big time. And I was just really not happy with how everything transpired. So 5.6 for me.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm very close. I am that score that warrants that fresh, it is a 60. It is a 6 out of 10, which is just enough to be considered an okay movie for me. And that's exactly what I say. I say it's okay. It warrants maybe one watch, but beyond that, like you said, no. So an average of 5.8 for PopXcast, which is, I think, what a lot of us expected for this movie.
I mean, I didn't really have a lot of expectations going in there. I mean, I knew this movie has been re-edited like 5 times.
Yeah.
I mean, reshoots. I mean, I remember we were talking on PopX one time about the reshoots. We're like, holy cow, they're going back in to reshoot a lot of this stuff? What? And we were just like, there's no way this film is going to, this is a flop.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And did you see the box office, Joe?
I did not.
All right. So 7 million in the U.S., 9 million worldwide. Granted, pandemic, but still. Yeah.
That ain't even paid for catering. Jeez. That's horrible.
Oh, yeah. It's not good, man.
Put that biscuit down, Johnny. We got to pay $5 million for that. Sorry, man.
Why is it a biscuit? Put the biscuit down. Put that biscuit
Put
down.
that biscuit down, Johnny.
Why you eating that biscuit for?
That biscuit's $15.
Yeah.
Getting,
that's horrible, man. That's
getting Bob Evans coming out here catering to you all every morning. It's crazy.
the whole budget. It's the whole budget of the movie.
Bob Evans and cigars. That was it. Cheap vodka.
Oh gosh, that's horrible.
It's bad, but funny. But anyway,
really
I
funny.
digress. All right, dude. So you got a 6.0. I got a 5.6. We're pretty much without even. Didn't see your movie review purposely because I didn't want to know your score.
I always do
so
that too.
I'm glad you and I are really close on a lot of our movies that we watch. We're within like 0.5% of our scores, which is unique.
I can't remember one time. There may have been one or two occasions where we were pretty far, but we're always within a point. Like always within that.
Typically, yeah.
It's pretty good.
Alrighty, guys. Well, that is the official film review of the New Mutants. Now, I know we're really hitting it hard, but it is worth a watch. And I will say this much. On the record, if your movie theater in your local town is open, do yourself a favor. Go on a night, buy the ticket, go see the New Mutants, maybe buy a soda and some popcorn, support them. Yeah. I know that my movie theater here where I live in my hometown is having some very hard times keeping the lights on, and anything that I can do to support a place where I went and saw Avengers Endgame and Avengers Infinity War and all of my favorite Marvel movies, so many memories sitting in those seats watching some of my favorite Black Panther come to life. I mean, I owe it to them to support them, and I think you should do the same. That's a strong urgency from Team PopX. Support your local theaters; they need it. But with all that said, that is our official film review. Austin, you want to take us out?
Yeah, absolutely. So you guys can find me at The Burkinator. I'm Austin Burke on YouTube. We are part of the newly formed creative group known as the Creative Multiverse, and this is cool, guys. For more great media content, artwork, and more, find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at the Creative Multiverse. And Joe was talking earlier, so much incredible, not just 2D, works of art in general shared on that page. So please go check that out. And if you're creative, you produce content, if you have a talent, we would definitely like to see it and would like for you guys to share it in the multiverse. Also connect with us on social media. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, Twitter, Pinterest, all at PopX Cast, and send us comments and suggestions via email at popxcast@gmail.com. For future and past shows, visit our official website, www.popxcast.com. And if you're on the YouTube channel watching this right now, be sure to hit the subscribe button, notification bell to know when we go live, and the thumbs up would be a nice little addition to that.
Yes, sir. And so I am Joseph Burke at Joseph Burke Arts. It's JOSEPHBURKE. Same last name as this guy, ARTS. On social media, I do all kinds of really cool graphic design work and retro 80s artwork. So if you're into that stuff, like the logo you see right here, the PopX logo.
Hey, if you guys came from the Discord, how about you, Joe, how about you tell them where I got my logo for my YouTube channel?
Oh, your logo?
Yes.
Oh, well, your logo actually came from me. because I designed your logo.
My whole style came from you, man. I mean, just the whole look of the channel. It really, it works so well.
Yep, and it's really cool to see you using that brand on like shirts and stuff. I'm very flattered. When I log onto the Flick Fan Nation and I see that, I'm like, man, that's him. That's his style. That's him. That's who he is. So, you know what, guys? In a couple of weeks, we're going to try our best to be back here on September the 13th, as we're going to talk. I know we may go sooner, so make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. We may want to talk about it next Sunday night. I don't know.
Yes.
But we have got Tenet and Bill and Ted on the schedule to talk about coming up on episode 111. So mark your calendar, September the 13th. It could be before. It could be the weekend before. We don't know. But we might be very eager to talk about this, and we might be back next Sunday. So definitely subscribe and watch for more great content. But from all of us here at PopXcast, thanks for listening. Thanks for downloading. And we will see you next time right here on PopXcast. Austin, it's good to have you back, bro.
Oh, it feels good,
Dude,
man. I love it. I love it.
Missed you long time.
Yeah.
All right, we're out of here, guys. Have a good one. From everyone at PopXcast, thanks for listening. Please make sure to like our Facebook page, facebook.com/PopXcast, and click the follow button to get our live stream notifications. Drop us an email, popxcast@gmail.com. Be sure to check out this and more great content on the Gonna Geek Network at GonnaGeek.com. Get your geek on!